10 Horrific Serial Killers from the Middle East. Number 10. Mohammed Baijeh raped and killed 16 boys between March and September 2004 in Pakistan, Iran. He tricked the boys into the desert by telling them that they were going hunting. Once he'd finished with them, he buried their bodies in shallow, sandy graves, earning him his nickname the Iranian Desert Vampire. Baijeh received 16 death sentences, one for each boy he killed, as well as 100 lashes for the rapes. He was publicly executed in Pakistan on March 16, 2005, his execution attended by over 5,000 people who booed and threw stones at him as he was flogged. At one point, a brother of one of his victims broke through the crowd and stabbed him in the back. After receiving his lashes, Baijeh was tied to one end of the rope while the other end was attached to a crane. The crane then lifted him up by the neck till he died. Number 9. Adam Omar. Dubbed the Sana'a Ripper, Muhammad Adam Omar murdered 16 women at Sana'a University in Yemen, where he worked as a morgue attendant. He lured the ladies, all medical students, under the guise of helping them with their studies. Once they got into the morgue, the former boxer killed them with his bare hands. He cut off their hands and feet and soaked them in chemicals. He buried the remains but kept their bones as souvenirs. Number 8. Mahan Kadri. Mahan Kadri is Iran's first documented female serial killer. She was convicted for killing 6 people including 5 women between February 2008 and May 2009 in the city of Qazvin. Most of her victims were elderly women whom she picked up outside prayer houses. Number 7. George and Michelle Tanyelian. Brothers George and Michelle Tanyelian killed 11 people, mostly taxi drivers, in Lebanon's Metan district, earning themselves the nickname the Taxi Driver Killers. They boarded taxis at night, and George would sit in front beside the driver while Michelle would sit at the back. Once they got to a remote location, George would tell the driver to pull over so that he could relieve himself. As soon as the driver pulled over and George began to exit the vehicle, Michelle would shoot the driver in the head. They then robbed the body and set the car on fire. Number 6. Ali Kalia. Known as the baby-faced killer, Ali Kalia murdered 10 people, mostly in Antalya province, Turkey. Number 5. Syed Hanai. Syed Hanai's murders were known as the spider killings because he wrapped the bodies like a spider. All of his victims were prostitutes whom he picked up from the streets of Mashhad, Iran. He took them to his house, where he strangled them with their headscarves and wrapped their bodies with their chadors. He then dumped their bodies on the streets. Once the body was found, Syed would return to the scene and even help police in carrying the corpse into an ambulance. Police found 19 bodies, and Syed claimed responsibility for 16 of them, saying he'd have killed as many as 150 had he not been caught. He claimed to have started killing prostitutes after a driver mistook his wife for one. He described prostitutes as a waste of blood, as worthless to him as cockroaches. The killings won Syed many fans who said he fought indecency and vice. His 14-year-old son even defended him in court, saying his father was cleaning the Islamic Republic of the corrupt of the earth, and many would replace him if he was killed. The boy claimed 20 people had told him to continue his father's work, but he'd told them, "Let's wait and see." Number 4. Biola Musa. Between 1994 and 1998, Biola Musa and his wife Susan Ibrahim allegedly murdered 12 people in Jordan. They posed as journalists and salesmen to trick unsuspecting victims into their house, where they robbed and killed them. Biola and Susan both fled to Libya in 1998 after their scheme was discovered, but they were arrested and extradited back to Jordan. Number 3. Dr. Luo Mar Mohammad Altai. Dr. Death Altai killed 43 patients at a hospital in Kirkuk, Iraq over the course of 6 months, starting in October 2005. All of his victims were Iraqi soldiers and policemen brought to the hospital for treatment. He killed them by switching off their breathing machines, cutting off electricity from operation theaters, reopening their wounds, or injecting them with lethal drugs. Number 2. Auda, a Saudi Arabian man simply identified as Auda killed 3 Asian housemaids in Saudi Arabia between 2010 and 2012. While he killed fewer people than anyone else on this list, he got the most gruesome punishment, crucifixion. Number 1. Ali Reza Shah, nicknamed the Tehran Vampire. Ali Reza Shah was sentenced to death in 1997 for raping and killing 9 girls and women in the city within 4 months.